To welcome everyone to today's program. My name is Andrea Klinkenbeard. I'm an adult services and young adult librarian here at the library. Just before we introduce today's panel and program in College for Homeschoolers, I'd like to draw your attention to the table in the back, which has some information about Kirkwood and the University of Iowa, as well as some information about resources on homeschooling and the college application process. And over here we have cookies and lemonade, very important, and also information about upcoming programs at the library, some which need registration and others. It just is helpful because then we know how much cookies and lemonade we need. But some of them require materials like the medieval living program, so it's helpful there. Back to today's program. First, I'd like to thank Sherry Dolash. Sherry's a homeschooling parent who approached us with the idea of doing a program like this. And so thank you, Sherry, for getting this going. And just introduce you to today's panel. John Wise, Student Life Director for Kirkwood in Iowa City. He's been with Kirkwood for 17 years, working in admissions, advising, and leadership development. He's a graduate of Tipton High and has a BA and MA from the University of Northern Iowa in Broadcasting and Communications. Jane Warner is originally from Brooklyn, Iowa, and she graduated from the University of Iowa with a bachelor's and a master's, her master's in counseling and human development. She's been working in the admissions field for 20 years at Cornell, Kirkwood, and now at the University of Iowa, where she's Associate Director of Admissions and Director for High School Relations. Deborah Miller is another graduate of the University of Iowa, and she's worked at the university's Office of Admission for 25 years, beginning as a transcript evaluator, office supervisor, and assistant director, and now she's Associate Director for the undergraduate admission area. And finally, for a more personal touch, we have Seth Studer. Seth is a student at the University of Iowa, about to graduate with a BA in English and Religious Studies. And Seth was homeschooled from 6th grade through high school graduation. He's the oldest of 7 children, all of whom are homeschooled from Vinton, Iowa. So I'm going to turn the program over to the panel. Each person's going to speak for a little while and about their kind of particular take on the process of preparing for and applying for admission to college, and then we'll open up the floor for questions. So please join me in welcoming our panel.
Thank you. I'm going to kick off today. Again, my name is John Y, and I'm with Kirkwood Community College. Kirkwood is a very large institution here locally in the 7 county areas. We serve Johnson County, we serve Lynn County with our main campus in Cedar Rapids. We have county centers in Williamsburg, in Washington, Tipton, and also in Monticello, in Vinton, and several other campuses too, as far as facilities in Cedar Rapids, like in Marion. So we have lots of things that Kirkwood Community College does. And we just recently passed a bond issue, which if you voted in that, we thank you very much in the school board meetings. Did I not turn it on? No. Oh, man. I even hid my microphone and everything and didn't have it on. So, well, great. Nobody at home will know who I am. So, but in part of the reason for those bond issues were funded by the state in some regard for infrastructure to pay staff and faculty. We're funded for upkeep on some of our facilities, but we come to the voters every few years to pass levy issues to help build facilities. Well, we're growing so fast that we needed to come to the voters to ask for additional funds at this point. And Iowa City, Johnson County was very gracious in that regard. I think 74-point-something% passed, and that's really almost unheard of in bond issues. So thank you very much. As far as Kirkwood goes, it's very, very broad in what we offer as a community college. You will be able to take anything from auto mechanics to equine curriculum to vet tech to a liberal arts degree. And there's many, many in between there that I didn't cover. You'll have to check out our website and go and research some more of those. It really depends on what you're looking to do. I work here at the Iowa City campus where a majority of our students are looking to transfer somewhere else to another 4-year school.
A lot of people look at a community college as a choice coming out of school or being homeschooled to get started with their college program. One of the things they like about it is it's a smaller environment. About 24-to-1 is the ratio of teachers to students in our classrooms. And then when we get larger than that, oftentimes what we do is look to add on facilities because we really want to keep that ratio small. It's important for a couple of factors. One is we do have a lot of students that come from smaller school districts, not all of them, but many do, and they're not used to the large classroom setting. And the other one is we just think that the faculty to student ratio is important for quality instruction. I went to a larger university and I made the transition okay. So some students can do it just fine and others really have a challenge with that. The other thing about a community college is that the admissions application does not cost you anything. You can go online and apply to Kirkwood in your junior, senior year, along those lines, wherever you're at academically. And there is no charge for that. All it does is open a computer number for you so that when we get assessment tests and those types of things from you, we have a place to put them and hold on to them for you when you come. The assessment test that Kirkwood takes, we do take the ACT test. We look at those scores. We also offer what we call a compass test. It's a product that's administered by ACT, but we'll do it right on campus at our testing center. You can do that at any one of our facilities and take that compass test. What we do with those tests, whether it be the ACT or the compass test, we do take the SAT as well. We just don't see as many of those in this area. But we look at your reading, writing, and math skills. We want to really know where you stand on those 3 subjects and to find out if in that test you're ready for college level. And for what I see a lot of homeschool students coming in, they're really prepared for those. And they do just fine. Some are not quite ready for that. One of the largest differences in a community college is we do offer coursework that gets you ready for college level. So if you're not ready in math and we look at your test score and say, well, tell me about your math background, we'll look at that and we'll say, based on where you tell us you think you're going with your curriculum down the road, we may take you in one math direction or another, but you might have a class or two to get up to college level math. The same may be true in writing. So we really have programs in place to be able to take you at that level that you're at to get you onto that next step to be ready for college. As far as those admissions requirements, we really don't have a cutoff at a community college. Our door is pretty wide open as far as you coming in there at any level. That could be true at people at a traditional age of 17, 18 years old, or somebody 50 or 60 years old that hasn't been back to school for a number of years. We really look at them almost the same. We look at them as to where they'd like to go and where their skills are now and how the best gets you there. And so as an advisor, you'd sit in my office and we would take time and look that out. And I'll probably ask you a lot of questions. I won't do a lot of work for you as you come in. I'll expect you to do some thinking on your own as to where you want to go. But as far as that initial meeting or two with an advisor, we want to help you chart out a course that you're telling us you'd like to go toward. And so that's really some of the services that we offer. There's a couple of different ways you can get information about Kirkwood Community College. One is we have a nice brochure we left in the back. It happens to be a view book for the Iowa City campus. There's a view book for the Cedar Rapids campus too, but I don't have those since I'm here in Iowa City. But you can get those as well. If you go to our website, you'll see that there is a program called TGIF. It's called To Get Information Fast. It's our official visit day for juniors and seniors. You can sign up for that. You can come with your parents, and you can go to the Cedar Rapids campus if you so choose. You'll take a look at, again, admissions requirements. You'll take a look at what programs are all about. You'll get a chance to ask questions of academic advisors, financial aid advisors, and you'll be able to check out living requirements too. Where are you going to live and what are you going to do? And you can even ask some of our students what mom and dad should get you for Christmas that year that would be most beneficial in you coming to college. You get to talk to some of the peer students that we have, we call student ambassadors. We are going to do 4 of those in Iowa City this year. You would still go to our website or call our admissions office to sign up for those. It's not as long of a program, about an hour and a half, and we'll run you, we don't have that much to tour in Iowa City. There's 3 buildings down here and about 3,500 students, but it won't take you that long to tour. So we'll spend more time on academics and programs and financial aid and those types of things. And so if you want to check out the Iowa City campus, look at one of those dates. If those don't fit into your schedule, you can just call the center over in Iowa City here and ask for me, and I'll set up a personal visit and tour for you. And I don't really care if you are a junior or senior. If you're younger than that or older than that and you'd like to find out more about Kirkwood, I'm happy to do that at any time. One of the things that we've done recently that I think makes transitions for colleges very, very well and a lot easier for students today is the use of the internet. I know that when we sit down on the internet to look ahead for a student that's coming in and tells me, I want to go to the University of Iowa and study business, or I want to go to the University of Iowa and study nursing. It makes it very, very easy for us now to look at the curriculum at Kirkwood and then go to the website for the University of Iowa in that discipline and look at the requirements already and start to match those up. In fact, between the 2 institutions, we really do a lot of partnering already as far as making sure that our programs transfer back and forth, and what is called this at Kirkwood transfers into this at the University of Iowa. And you may think we're adversarial, but we're more good friends and partners in this regard to get you on to the next level, whether you start at Kirkwood or go to Iowa to start. We do have students from time to time that come the other direction that need a fresh start, and so we'll work with those students as well. So as far as your standpoint, if I could give you any parting, I don't know how my time is, so I'm going to cut off here, but if I can give you any parting advice, work on your math, work on your writing, work on your science. I know this sounds like a broken record probably. And for those of you going into liberal arts college somewhere down the road, make sure you get at least 4 years of foreign language at some place. You can take it at Kirkwood. It's not a requirement for Kirkwood, but it will be when you get to the University of Iowa in certain programs. And you can take it there, but if you happen to go to Kirkwood your first 2 years and you waited until your junior or senior year to take Spanish, let's say, you're going to take it all 4 semesters, and it might not be that fun for you. So at any rate, our website is on the materials, but it's www.kirkwood.edu. And you're more than welcome to go there and to talk a lot more than I have time to today in programs, and I'll stick around for a while afterwards today too. So I'll yield the floor and let you go next, Jane.
Again, I'm Jane Manner, and thanks for all of you for coming today. You're probably wondering why there's 2 people here from the university. I work with the outreach division, so it's really the people within our office that are out recruiting students and talking to students about, the University of Iowa and giving. So we're the first people that they encounter. Once you go through an application process, it's kind of passed along to Deb's group to find out whether you're going to get admitted or not. So that was why the 2 of us were here today. And again, traditionally when I won't talk a whole lot about the university, certainly willing to answer questions because we brought some materials as well, but as homeschooled families, I think the message I wanted to get to you was that an outreach division traditionally is going to meet up with students through a high school visit program or a college fair program. We may not have those opportunities with you unless you're at a college fair or you're checking in with a high school and finding out when representatives are going to be there, or perhaps if you've taken an ACT or an SAT test and sent your scores to that institution. So mostly I wanted to let you know that it's real important that you maintain contact with the schools that you're interested in early on, so you know what kind of requirements that they're going to want from you early enough to make a difference in that. College fair programs, if you haven't, the Iowa Association of College Admission Counseling offers college fairs throughout the state of Iowa, around 30, 35 of them, and I know Kirkwood has one coming up on the Cedar Rapids campus end of September or September 21st or something like that. There will be one in Iowa City, March 21st, so you have opportunities to really meet up with a lot of different colleges and you know, get some quick information, or at least get your name to them. We know, though, the very best way for you to learn about college is to visit campus, and we think the campus visit is very, very important. Traditionally, students in their junior year will begin visiting some of the campuses. Everybody does it a little bit different, but most of them have the same components. There may be an individual visit component, a general information or group component, or a large kind of organized visit day that usually has a little more razzle and dazzle in it. In those, what you're hoping to get is, I guess, information specifically. It's an information gathering opportunity for you about programs. Usually you'll get a tour of campus, a walking tour of campus, or a bus tour of campus. Tour of a residence hall, so you can take a look at some of the living situations where you might want to be with those. Departmental visits. Sometimes they'll set you up with student hosts if you request. I think most colleges really want to help you set up the kind of visit that you want to have, and you just need to communicate that with them, and they will work with you, I think, in trying to get those done. What I find when I'm working with students, there's really 5 questions that they want answered. And so at least it reminds me, too, when I'm sitting down with a family. Most students want to know, can I get in? Do you have the major areas of interest or academic programs that I want? Where am I going to live? What's there to do on campus just because, or besides just the courses that I might be attending? And how am I going to pay for it? So the how I get in part I'm going to kind of end with, because I'll be passing it off to Deb then, but basically, and again, and whether you're looking at 2-year institutions or 4-year institutions or private colleges or public colleges, you want to check into the academic areas of study. I would think in most colleges, and particularly at the University of Iowa, we don't expect you to know what it is you want to do when you're entering into the college. You have an opportunity to come in at an open major, and we have a large number of open majors that come into the university, and that means to us that you're kind of open to opportunities right now. If you do have interests in mind, it's good to talk with your admissions people about that. Living in the residence halls, again, we have 10 residence halls. Typically you would find 2 students that live in a residence hall room. In a lot of colleges, I think you can request a private room, but you most likely won't get that unless the institutions just have setups like that. Doing things on campus, we know that those students that have taken a rigorous course load, in terms of academic preparation, along with engagement when they're in school, are going to persist to graduation. So getting involved in activities in college is very important in keeping you there and getting you to graduation. There's also a lot of besides just the activities on campus, there's a lot of help services, tutors. Most schools will have those, health services. And a lot of schools will have something called transition courses your first year once you go into college. And it's really to help students ease from home to a college type of setting. So I would recommend for at some schools it's mandatory, at the university it's not a mandatory, it's optional, but we would recommend that students take it. Financial aid, as a homeschooled student, can you get it? Yes. You're eligible for scholarship opportunities. The financial aid process, really the mainstay of it is something called a free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA form, you'll hear about it. We encourage all parents to go through the FAFSA process. Financial aid really consists of scholarships, grants, loans, and college work. So the Iowa, what is it called? Iowa College Student Aid Commission really has a great website. specifically for homeschooled students. So I encourage you to get into that website and kind of review that as you get ready for those processes. Okay, last thing I want to talk about, the application process, particularly to the University of Iowa. What we're going to be looking for is a completed application. Most schools are going to have an online app as well as a paper application. You have to have an ACT or SAT test score. So typically you're going to start taking those, I would guess, in your junior year. So you have opportunities for retake. A transcript. In our case, we either want your homeschooled transcript, a high school transcript if you have it or involved with the high schools, a college transcript if you're involved in any college types of courses, AP or CLEP scores. CLEP is advanced placement are the AP courses. College level examination program, which is a national exam, you can take courses through that, gain college credit. We do have an application fee, unfortunately. So that really completes your application process. We also encourage homeschooled students to have a personal statement that really talks a little bit about your homeschooling experience, why you're interested in our college, some of your academic areas of interest. And we don't require interviews or a GED, but if you have a GED, we'd like for you to send the scores. Once all of that's in, it's complete, and then we pass it off to Deb. So Deb can talk a little more about that.
We get a lot of calls, a lot of inquiries from parents about the review process. The state of Iowa, with the Regents institutions, pretty much dictates, in a way, who we admit. We admit the upper half of the class, residents of Iowa, if they have completed certain high school course requirements. So really, when we go through the homeschool review process, we're just trying to make sure that you fit at least into that students fit at least into that category. We just want to know that you're going to do well at the university. So we look at the homeschool transcript very, very seriously, and they come in, as you can imagine, every size, shape, or form that we can get, that there are that many people out there. Same way with high school transcripts, there isn't a standardized form. So what's really helpful to us is just let us know what you've been doing. You can do that by year and subject area, like you don't have to call it 9th grade, but when I was this old, we studied these subjects for this length of time. Sometimes they give textbooks, they tell us what books they read. Any information that you can give us that would help us make a good decision is what you'd want to include. But it is real critical to let us know what general subject areas you've covered. The high school course requirements that we have for admission from traditional schools, we essentially try to make sure that homeschool students have had, very similar experiences. So we're looking for the 3 years of math, has to be algebra, geometry, advanced algebra. We recommend additional math, but those are the 3 minimum. Natural science is 3 years, and 2 of those years have to be from biology, chemistry, and physics. So you can have like general science, biology and chem, physical science, chem and physics, but 2 of those have to be from biology, chem, and physics. We have 4 years of English requirement, 3 years of social studies, and then for admission, 2 years of the same foreign language. I think probably the hardest 2 areas that we've had determining the equivalencies would be natural science and foreign language. Foreign language, a lot of times by homeschoolers, isn't just elementary Spanish, volume 1. It's we went to Spain or we went to Mexico, and there's just a lot of different experiences. If there is any question, we do have assessment tests on campus too, and then that'll help the student determine where they might fit into the sequence. So we look for those high school course completions or the equivalent of it. And those can be from traditional high schools, they can be from your homeschool experience, we can use the community college or college courses. We really mix it up and use it to the student's ability. And then without ranking class, GPA or test scores play a little bit bigger role. There's a real big movement nationwide, and it's really caught in Iowa now. For a lot of high schools don't give us ranking class anymore. In fact, both City and West have dropped ranking class beginning this fall. So we're really going to a holistic review for a lot of students, and we've used the holistic review for homeschool students all along. And the other high schools are saying that's what we want too. We want you to look at an individual rather than a number. And so indeed, that's what we're doing. And so that gives a little bit more importance to a test score, a little bit more importance about how you do in those core courses. So if you have CD or lower work in math and science, it would probably, we know that those courses are key to success on campus. And so we look for any instrument that we can tell will help the student achieve. So when you apply, we'll send you what we call the Hawk ID and password, and that enables you to go into a student information system, and there's an admission profile on that, and you can actually check the status of your application. Are my test scores there? Did you get a transcript from Kirkwood? Is my homeschool transcript in? Do you have my personal statement? Do we have any letters of rec? So you can follow all that, and it just prompts you into the next process at the university. It'll tell you when we get your acceptance form. It'll tell you when you can sign up for orientation. It'll give you a choice of dates and all that. So a lot of that is online for students now. So let's see, what else? I think that's about it. We do a holistic application review. It seems to go really, really well. The university still doesn't, we don't really have a large number of homeschool students. I think I checked fall of 2004, we only had 8 that were entirely homeschooled. So we get a lot of inquiries. We get several students, and that seems to be growing every year. So we'll let somebody tell you actually how it was like.
Well, and it's been a few years, so if anything I say has changed, just feel free to jump in and correct me. Like Andrew said, my name's Seth Studer. I was homeschooled from 6th grade on in the Vinton-Shellsburg Homeschool District. Vinton is a town about an hour north of here between Cedar Rapids and Waterloo. My experience was kind of typical and atypical of the homeschooler in the Vinton-Shellsburg School District because like many of them, and like many high school students, I took some college classes before I would have graduated from the program. A lot of homeschoolers take advantage of local Kirkwood centers. I went to the Kirkwood Vinton Center in my hometown. The reason my experience was a little atypical is I finished my Associate of Arts in that time. I started when I was 15, almost 16, when I started taking college courses part-time, and I got along pretty well with them, so I started doing full-time, and by the time I graduated from the Homeschool Assistance Program, I graduated with my AA, and that gave me the opportunity to basically just go right into Iowa without really having to have a review or anything, what a typical homeschooler would have, which had its advantages and disadvantages. One nice thing about the AA, and this is probably kind of bad of me to say this, but a lot of the requirements that University of Iowa has that you described don't necessarily apply. The one that applied for me at the time was the foreign language requirement. But other than that, as long as I had fulfilled Kirkwood's requirements for an AA in liberal arts, I could come to Iowa and basically start working on my degree. So I came to Iowa and I finished my junior year, and then I decided that at the age of 18 I wasn't really ready to be a senior. So I took a couple years off, and now I came back this previous year, and I'm slowly finishing my senior year at Iowa. That was kind of my experience. You could put any other, I've met a few of the homeschoolers we have at Iowa. You could probably put them up here and they'd have completely different experiences. There seems to be as many different experiences for going into college as a homeschooler as there are homeschoolers. And as homeschool parents, I know you understand this. One of the reasons many of you chose to homeschool was you wanted to give an individual education experience to your children. You didn't want the sort of one-size-fits-all. And I think the colleges, as you guys described, are wanting to cater to that more and more. And so my biggest piece of advice, aside from the do your math and science, because that's really important, do the foreign language. If you wait to do foreign language until you come to the University of Iowa, I can tell you they're great foreign language classes. I've taken 3 foreign languages at Iowa. I like them so much. But do the basic stuff, get your work done, and take advantage of the things they've described, because the universities and the colleges are wanting to cater more and more to the individual, and that kind of goes with the homeschooling philosophy. So that's just sort of my experience, and it's kind of getting to the point where we have to ask questions. And so rather than tell you more about my experience, if you guys have any questions, just ask about it. But I'll let Andrea come up.
I would just ask if you have a question, if you mind coming up to the mic. We're not live on the library channel today, but we are being taped so that this program can be rebroadcast for others to watch in future dates. Open up if anybody has questions for anybody. You can direct it to all of them at once, or just specifically Byron.
I think you mentioned something about letters of recommendation, but at one point, but then when you were listing everything, you didn't say that. Is that important?
Letters of recommendation aren't required. If you think it would help a particular situation, if you think, we read them all, and it would be a good part of the holistic review process, but they're not required.
I made mention of the personal statement, which I think is very important. That would be necessary to accompany. But recommendation would be just, for example, if there was a learning disability in a financial area, or in a financial, let's say a mathematical area or something like that, you would want to probably have a letter of recommendation or some documentation that supported that.
I have a couple questions. One is about transcripts. You do accept non-traditional transcripts. If someone doesn't do traditional high school work with textbooks, more of it's experiential.
Right.
Do you accept that, or do you go more on the test scores?
Both, absolutely. And in fact, some homeschool applicants don't supply that, and then we'll contact them and say, we really, this transcript can be in whatever format you want, but just to let us know what you've been doing, really, year by year, would be really helpful for us. So a homeschool transcript can be one that you do on the computer, along with official transcripts from any traditional school you might have attended.
Okay. I also have a question about financial aid. On some of the sites I've been on, people have said that if you start out at a community college, that it is more difficult to get financial aid because so many students get financial aid as a freshman in a 4-year university or college. And by going to a community college, you might forego some of that financial aid. I just want to know what you guys thought of that, because this is what I've been hearing.
I'm not a financial aid expert, but I will just state that many of our students do apply for financial aid in some of the same ways that the university students do. I work a lot with students. It's not been my experience that they've had a lot of frustrations when starting at Kirkwood and transferring to Iowa with their financial aid. I've not heard that. We do, most students do apply for financial aid. When they get their award letter, they can decide how much or how little they want to accept of that aid. Most of them all take the grants, if they're Pell Grants, of course. But the other part of that, they may decide how much of that they want to accept. The other part of that is they can finance as you go your education. We work with a program called FACTS. It's a third-party organization that you can register for at certain times before the semester or during the semester and either have no money down or some money down. have payment plans set up as well, and some students opt for that as well.
So.
But I don't know that they have, but you may know.
Well, I don't know, what I maybe hear you saying is, if you come in as a transfer student, and Deb can talk a little bit what makes, maybe the difference between what makes you a transfer student or what makes you a freshman in terms of credits that you're bringing in. If you're coming in as a transfer student, you of course aren't going to be eligible for freshman scholarships.
Right.
But we do have transfer scholarships as well. So
Okay.
is that kind of what you were finding? It's just that you wouldn't be eligible for as many scholarship opportunities?
Exactly. And
Because
you
the
come in on a
financial.
4-year scholarship, and not that many, I don't know what the percentage of people are who do that, but, and so people are saying that you miss out on the 4-year scholarships.
That could be, that probably the largest scholarship is, for us, is the presidential, and it's for incoming freshmen.
Okay.
But and homeschool students do qualify, for applying for that scholarship. But we do have transfer scholarships, and they seem to be growing a little bit more, so.
Yeah, those seem to be more and more all the
Uh-huh.
time. And
Right.
we do have a fair number of scholarships at Kirkwood too, quite a few, that are listed on the webpage. And presidential scholarship, there's others as well that students do use. And I'm not sure how much that transfer scholarship is. It's good, but I don't know a number I can give you off the top of my head.
It's been $1,000, I think.
There are
Three
also
hundred.
GPA scholarships through the financial aid for merit. If you have a certain
Okay.
GPA, you get your tuition, isn't it tuition?
Yeah, well, the only thing I know like that is the presidential.
Okay.
I'm not certain beyond the presidential.
But those would be good specific questions to ask
Yeah.
about transfer scholarships.
Okay.
And that's the big thing with my experience transferring. My financial aid situation was a little odd for a variety of reasons that aren't going to apply to most people. But the whole process of transferring, one thing I found when I came into the University of Iowa, I went to the transfer students orientation, and they're sort of the general attitude I got. I don't want to be too critical of the university here because it's a great school, but was you're a college student. You've been a college student. You know what college is like. I mean, the orientation for the freshmen is very comprehensive, and really it's kind of my own fault because that's sort of the attitude I took coming into the university from Kirkwood. I was only 18 years old at the time, but I was a little cocky, and I thought, well, I know what college is like. I've been in college for 2 years now. And Kirkwood is a fantastic school. I can't say enough good things about Kirkwood, but it's very different than a university environment. And it's going to be different, if any of you guys go to Iowa, it's going to be different for you because I'm assuming most of you live near or in Iowa City, so your experience with the university is going to be different than mine. But because of my sort of attitude going in of I'm a transfer student, I've been a college student for 2 years, I'm going to graduate in 2 years, I didn't necessarily take advantage of all the opportunities I had to ask questions, to really know what I was getting myself into, to really sort of do the typical admissions process that maybe I should have. And because of that, I think my first year was a little rougher than maybe it needed to be. And so even if you already have 2 years at Kirkwood, even if you're going in with your AA like I did, I really recommend meeting with people multiple times. Even if you're from Iowa City, take the campus tour. I recommend getting as prepared. Just assume that you know nothing and that you have everything to learn about the process, because even if it's redundant, it's better to have that experience than to go in and then halfway through your first semester realize, wow, I really wish I had done that. So that's my biggest piece of advice for anything relating to transferring from one to another.
So I think we'll hire him for.
Yeah, I know.
You need that guy in the admissions
I know.
office.
Yeah.
As a follow-up, though, we do have, it's mandatory to go through an orientation.
Right.
I
I
don't know whether
did do
that was
that.
there for you.
Yeah, I
but
did that.
Yeah.
It's
It is
mandatory
short,
for transfer students, and we also now have a transition course for
Right.
transfer students so they can learn about services.
And do that,
opportunities.
absolutely do that. It's a great service and really there to be taken advantage of. You have nothing to lose.
So you answered a question I didn't ask. I have one more question for Kirkwood and the University of Iowa. Have you considered, I know you said you only have 8 homeschooled students, but with the tours that you take, there are I'm not sure the title, student ambassadors that take you around, and they do a very good job. And I was just wondering if you thought about asking a previously homeschooled student to take on that position for homeschoolers coming in.
We would love to if they would identify themselves.
Yeah,
to
that's
us. I mean,
very true what Jane says. I oftentimes don't know that they're homeschooled students unless they bring it up in conversation.
Which some of them are hesitant to do.
Yes, and so, and
I
getting, we are just starting that program in Iowa City. The admissions department in Cedar Rapids has had ambassadors for years. And I have about 11, 12 young people that are interested, but I have no idea if they're homeschooled, and I certainly will ask that question at the meeting on Tuesdays.
Okay, that would just be, I don't know how you feel about it, but it would be nice coming in as a homeschool student to know somebody who's gone through the process.
Mhm.
And have them as a mentor.
That's a great point.
I know my first year I met 2, and it just came up in conversation. And so it's, you know, I mean, it's kind of surprising. You said there were only 8 that were completely homeschooled. But there are others, like myself, who went to public school for a little while and whatnot. And, that's a homeschooling experience too. So I think I've run into quite a few on campus. So, I mean, if you're homeschooled, you will bump into them. And I don't know how, but you do.
I have so many questions, I hardly know where to start. But one of the things that I was wondering about is financial aid for students under the age of 17 attending Kirkwood.
You need to call our financial aid
Well,
office. I don't know the answer to that
I
question.
have a daughter that is going to be 14 in a couple of weeks. She scored 98 on the Bill and Blank test. She is doing 9th grade work, and I'd like to get her involved in some things, but financially, we're just not able. So I'm looking for answers how
Right.
we can do that.
Go ahead,
I don't
Jane.
know. I was just going to see me afterwards, and I'll give you an email address. Have you contacted the Iowa College Student Aid Commission at all?
No, I haven't.
I would start with them and find out, what opportunities you might have. As far as I'm not aware of an age. It's more of the educational level, and I flipped through their website, and I didn't see an age.
Okay, it's
comment
my
in here.
understanding that you cannot even get a GED in Iowa until you're 17.
I believe that's correct.
And so, what do you do then with the child that is, well, I suppose you're an example of that, then you
Mhm.
do the AP classes, the Kirkwood courses.
Right. I didn't take any AP classes. I could have because are you enrolled through a school district or are you independent?
We are attending the homeschool assistance program in Cedar Rapids.
Okay.
but
Have you
other than
asked them any questions?
I've had a couple of conversations, in fact, it was this year, do we register her as an 8th grader,
Uh-huh.
even though she's doing 9th grade curriculum, or do we
Right.
register her as?
Right. That's an issue that comes up a lot.
And we finally decided to go with 8th grader and go ahead and do the
Mhm.
9th grade work.
Mhm.
I was told that her 9th grade work that she does this year would not count on her transcript, however. That made no sense to me.
Yeah. Then that's probably I hate to say it, that's probably the whim of your particular homeschool assistance program. The Marion Homeschool Assistance Program I know would probably give you an answer, and I'm 100% certain the Vint Shellsbury one would give you a different answer. It's kind of, at that level, it's really up to the homeschool assistance program. And I know in Vinton, for instance, I could have gotten, if I decided to take German, I studied German at Kirkwood, I could have gotten that paid for by the school district because they didn't offer German in the Vinton Shellsbury Homeschool District. And so they would pay for their students to take it at Kirkwood because it would have counted as an AP course through the school district. It would have been paid for like any other class in the school district. There may have been some fees. I know this was true in the time. This would have been around 1999. So there are situations like that where the homeschool, district you're enrolled through may step forward and pay for some things, but only for classes that they themselves offer. So if you're talking about basic college classes, their answer might be, well, just come to the school and enroll in some of our AP classes part-time, which may or may not be what you want to do. I'd say your best bet is probably just to get that email address, because I never remember age being an issue in terms of applying for financial aid. Like I said, my financial aid situation was a little different, but I've looked at a lot of financial aid stuff since I've been at Iowa. I've never seen age be a factor.
Yeah, and it sounds like you could be talking, I mean, the traditional school systems have something called Post-Secondary Enrollment Options Act, PSEO, which is once you exhaust a curriculum at a high school, then your school district will pay for you to take courses at a local college or community college.
I think that's what I was probably describing.
I would, yeah, but.
That's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
But again, I don't know. The school district, if you're not getting any answers there, or talk to the Bell and Blank Center.
Kind of in a catch-22, because we want to remain this year at least in the Cedar Rapids district, which we've open enrolled to from Iowa City because of the homeschool assistance program. But I'm thinking that probably after that we'd be more beneficial being in the Iowa City School District, because otherwise anything additional besides what they offer, right there at their school, which is a 1 day a week, half-a-day thing, you have to make additional trips to be involved in the school there. And it gets difficult.
Yeah.
And you have, and again, are you working with anybody at the Bell and Blank Center? Any advisors there that could?
I don't have the $100 fee to pay to work with them.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a fee, so I can check.
Hi, I have a couple of questions as well. Are any of you considering computer programming a foreign language?
Kirkwood does not have a foreign language requirement. We offer foreign language courses. That would probably be better for graduation with an associate's
Right. I mean, for students coming in.
Computer science is not considered what we would take as a foreign language.
Are you talking about an online foreign language course, or?
No, computer programming.
As a foreign language.
Right.
Right.
It's-
No, that's never, to my knowledge, never ever been discussed. If
Really?
students have a disability in a language, for a foreign language area, then they work with students. If it's documented, they might have substitutions, course substitutions. Usually it's in a culture area. So you would take, instead of 4 semesters of Spanish, you would take 4 semesters of study of the Latin American countries or whatever.
So it would turn into more like a social science than a
Well, yeah, computer
language.
programming almost falls more into the mathematics, quantitative and formal reasoning areas too. Not for sure, but there's a lot of math involved in the computer programming curriculum, so
Right.
I don't know that's where it would fall, but
Now, if a student takes foreign languages before high school and includes that on their, what I would call a portfolio, since it's an alternative transcript, would that be considered as part of what you look at in admitting them, or does it have to be from the last 4 years of study?
This is where the homeschool transcript would come in. I mean, I would definitely let the school know that over these last 4 years I did not, because a lot of traditional high schools actually start the foreign language program in middle school or junior high. So a lot of them take Spanish 1 and 2 in 7th and 8th grade. And high schools will put that on their transcript.
Really? Okay.
Completed, right.
Okay.
So that would be additional information for us.
Okay. And in your alternative transcript that you're looking at for homeschool students, what kinds of things and what level of depth do you want to see in a portfolio type transcript?
Right. That varies. We got a lot of different forms, but again, basically, it's just the subject areas you studied, like geography, English, maybe a short little description of what that included, physical science or chemistry or algebra using the Saxon program, just to let us know what you did that year, what areas you studied, and maybe for how long.
Okay, and where would a homeschool student fit accomplishments or special studies? Say they went with a parent down to
Sure.
Louisiana to work in
Right.
New Orleans.
Right,
Where
yeah.
would they report?
That could be in their personal statement. It could be a list of activities or additional studies. You know, you could add that to the transcript as well.
Okay, so we can be fairly creative in
Oh,
how we
abs-
include
Yeah,
information.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Would sign language be considered a foreign language?
Yes, it would.
Are you familiar with future problem solving?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Are you familiar with future problem solving?
I'm not.
I am not.
Future problem solving? I'm not, I'm sorry. What, do you know what is it?
It's a group that I'm actually involved with, and so is my brother, and it's actually international. It's in all of the countries, New Zealand, and you solve future problems, and it's got 6-step courses, and I've been told that it helps you with colleges likes to see that on their resumes and things like that.
Well, we'll have to take a look into it. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Good idea. I'll write it down.
A couple more. I think it was Jane said something about including GED if you had it, but if you have an ACT or SAT score, do you need a GED?
No, it's just, we don't require an interview or a GED, but if you have taken the GED and you want to send us the scores, even though you are also sending us the ACT or SAT, it helps us take a look at the content you've been involved in. Would that be accurate? Yeah.
But it's not required.
Correct.
Okay. And about scholarships, I'm just curious, I know there's tons of them out there. How do you suggest we pursue that? And what kind of things do they really look for when giving scholarships? Or
Well, it's a holistic approach to looking at your transcript, so I'm going to let Deb answer that.
We do on the most universities, and we have a scholarship publication available on our website. So it'll list any scholarships that the university is involved in and just briefly what the criteria are. The presidential is based on ACT score as well as ranking class, but without ranking class, we'll look at the transcript as well. So it's a 30 ACT is the minimum score, and then an upper 5% from a traditional high school or similar credentials from a no-rank school or a home school. So then there's tiers of scholarships. Students not selected for the presidential might receive, I think it's a new scholarship this year called the Old Gold Scholarship, and that's a second tier transcript. So, but most universities should have a list of scholarships for you.
And again, I think if you follow, I really encourage you to start looking at your colleges early so that they know about you. In our case, if you are eligible to apply for, let's say, the presidential scholarship, we would send you the application to do it. So, and in many of the scholarship processes, the essay is a very, very important component of it because it really stands you apart from other students because everybody that's in the pool is a really great student. So,
Kirkwood as well has a number of scholarships, and they publish those as well on the webpage. Usually do a booklet right after the first of the year. I think middle of March sometimes, usually the deadline for those scholarships. And oftentimes, and I don't know that this is true at Iowa, oftentimes there's scholarships that go unclaimed because people don't take the time to fill out the application and because they don't think they qualify for a scholarship. So I tell every student that comes to Kirkwood, take the time, go online, spend some time on the essay, and take an hour or two and fill out that scholarship application because you never know, there could be $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 that
Yeah.
you qualify for that is helping to pay for your school. So did you do that?
Yeah, I did. And the best thing you do is go to the website. It's all on the websites. All the scholarships are there, and it doesn't hurt to go to Google. You're all homeschoolers, you know Google. Type in scholarships. There's scholarships, independent scholarships out there, but the websites are great, and just go to their financial aid sites, and everything's there.
And check out what's available maybe locally. I
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
an email from the financial aid office this morning, and it said, Deb, we have a scholarship that we administer for this school district, and can you tell me females from Lucas County that are freshmen here this fall? And so we did a search and sent the names to them, and then they'll look to see if they qualify. So there are a number of them out there.
You could be in a service club, you could be in a number of things that all offer scholarships for students. So.
It can be a tedious process, but
It's worth it.
a
Beneficial.
worthwhile, yeah.
Don't wait on the track scholarship like I did, telling some people beforehand, so go ahead and get
It's not
that
there.
academic one nailed down.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions, or? We go ahead and finish up now then, and then folks can, if you're available for a little while after, you can ask more private questions if you'd like. Again, help yourselves to any of the handouts, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks very much.